Welcome back to Terphouse Weekly. Today is Tuesday, February 19th, and I'm your host, James Lynch. And we got to give a shout out right off the top to Andre Fili, who picked up a big win at UFC on ESPN from Phoenix. He got a unanimous decision over Miles Jury, and Fili has now won 3 of his last 4 fights, handing Jury his second straight loss. And big things are ahead for the Team Alpha Male product, Andre Fili, with that win on Saturday. Now, on that same card, we were supposed to have Jody Escobar fight Jessica Penne. Hours before the fight, we find out that Penne suffered an injury. Escobar and Penne, the fight was called off, so hopefully they can rebook Jody Escobar as soon as possible. Curious to see if the UFC is able to do something with her sooner rather than later, with that fight getting canceled at the last minute. And we had 2 fighters come up short, unfortunately. Benito Lopez lost in the first round to Manny Bermudez, but Lopez very classy in his defeat, and we're excited to see him get rebooked as soon as possible. And it should be pointed out that Bermudez did miss weight for that fight, so at least Benito showed up on the scales for that one. Toby Misak Friday night came up short against Eduardo Dantes, the former Bellator bantamweight champion. He lost a unanimous decision, but Toby's always an exciting fighter, and I'm sure we're going to see him back in the cage sooner rather than later. Now, this weekend, we have a first here on Terphouse Weekly. We have 2 fighters competing against each other. We've got newly signed Brendan Allen, who's part of Team Terphouse, defending his middleweight title against Moses Murrietta. Really great scrap here. If you guys aren't watching it, you're missing out. The winner of this fight will likely go to the UFC next. I think the last, I don't know how many LFA middleweight champions are currently in the UFC, so big things for this fight, which is coming up this Friday on Access TV. And then on Saturday at UFC Prague, we have Stefan Struve facing Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. Now, this is Struve's last fight on his UFC contract, so a little bit of urgency here as he heads into free agency. If you watch our interview with Struve up on our YouTube channel, he talks about how he wants to stay with the UFC, so hopefully he can come out on top in this important matchup in the heavyweight division. And like I mentioned, as always, at the end of this thing, check out theterphouse.com for all your CBD oil needs. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at The Terphouse, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheTerphouse. That's where you can find all of our fighter interviews, including Brendan Allen and Moses Murrietta, which I mentioned here on the show. I'm James Lynch. I'll see you next week.